Alright guys, check it out, man. We're back in Carroll Cadillac. We're getting ready to pull the engine on this car. So, jump up here, see what I got. DIY stuff. So, I got I got this out of a longer piece of chain, and I cut it to, length, so I have plenty. And so, on that chain right there, it's about 3.5 feet long, a little longer. And then I have a short piece about 1 foot long that I have over here to attach the side. And it's on this side. I have it balanced correctly. I'll show you how it's done. So I'll take, on the side that I have the two, I'm going to take the full length chain. And I'm going to apply this with a 15mm head here. The bolts where the lift point comes out of, the one closest to me, I'm going to put that chain, the very last link, right into that hole. I'm going to put it in at least inch. You want to make sure you're far enough that it doesn't break out. You know what I mean? So grab it and just drop it. So I'm doing everything DIY as if I'm new. So these things I'm finding in my garage that I can just utilize. So there we go. Putting that in the lift point and the bracket from transaxle to head here. I took all that off, because I don't trust it. And when you take that lift bracket here and you utilize that, it'll bend it over, and a lot of times it'll crack the top of the camshaft cover, so I don't do that at all. And so I got that bolt that's like halfway in. Take another one, and I'm going to pull that chain tight. I want it to be tight. And I'm going to go to the loosest last length that I can. So I have a lot extra. And I'm going to put it right into the tensioner hole for the accessory belt. Right, I got that all in there. Then I have this straight chain going across the head to the front here. Now I'm going to take the other one, the 1 foot one I told you about. Now the bolts that are in the starter are the same size that go in the water hole. So over here with pull the gasket off. Over here, we'll get you closer so you can see what I'm talking about here. Alright, let's get down here and I'll show you here. Back a little bit. Now we're doing these uncut. I'll speed up the boring parts. See if I can get it right where I need to be. Sorry guys, let's speed up through that. Okay, so what I have, let's get a little bit closer. So my chain is going to be the 3.5 foot chain. Now, depending on what size, it doesn't really matter. I like a little heavy duty chain. I took the last link and I put it on the back side of this right bank head, and I put it in the hole closest to me of the two holes that hold the brace going to the transaxle and the lift point bracket, right? That's not on here right now. I took it off. I always take them off. To use that, like I said earlier, could possibly break the magnesium head or a camshaft cover. So I take it and I stretch it straight across the top of the head and down in the front and pull it as tight as I can. And then I put it in the very next link that is comfortable enough to put it in there. And I'd say about, I don't know, from here to here, about 8 inches up, I got about a 1 foot link. I'm going to take that and pull it this way, put it over the head, and grab the link, which on this case is going to be the last one, I think. That always happens, so we won't worry about it. So anyway, so we have a straight chain to this point, to that point. You want to put it in far enough that it won't mess up or won't break anything when we put the weight on it. and then you have a small chain that's just up here. Now if you see these bolts right here, these bolts are meant from my point to be able to grab with a hook and be dead center, and it won't slide from side to side. Although it normally won't, you don't want to put the hook of your hoist through a chain link, because now you're putting it on the thinnest part of that little tiny of the hook, so it could possibly break. But if you don't want it to slip and slide, like if you pull it up, it can fall forward and slip back this way. It can fall backwards and your hook can fall this way. So these bolts right here are just basic stuff I'm taking off the car in DIY form, so I can put the hook right here, which is pretty much centered. So we'll see where it's at, and then we'll begin to take it apart, and I'll explain more. Let's move on. I'll move you back. Let's move on to the next step here. Alright, so there's a lot of things are important in these steps. Alright, so another thing I'm going to do, let's get you up here. Loosen that up a little bit. Get you up here where you can see it. When you use a shop crane, you're always going to want to come in from the passenger side. Now I'm going to come over here, I'm going to show you something. You can see underneath here, you can see my red jack. That red jack, I'm going to let it down, has a piece of wood on it. Right there. See if you can see that little block of wood. These are all DIY things you can do. There you go, block of wood. So what I'm going to do is in the transaxle, it's an L shape. So right there where it goes from the casing on the back and it L's back this way to the outdrive, I'm going to take my piece of wood and I'm going to put it angle-wise right there in that corner. And I'm going to lift it up to take the pressure off of the engine and transaxle in the middle. So when I pop this up, I won't have it leaning forward. I won't have the transaxle leaning forward up against the motor. So, all right, let's take you back. Well, you've seen it. Yeah, you got the whole view, so you can see it all. So I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna lift this jack up. And right now I have the right spot, right in that corner that I just explained. Lift this up. All right, so right in that L-shaped corner. All right, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna look at it, lift it up, put a little pressure on it, just to know that I have it up and there's no pressure. You know, if you ever cut a piece of wood and you have it sitting on two horses, you cut it in the middle, it pinches together. Well, most of you probably already know what I'm talking about. Just to make sure, that's what I'm doing, is taking the pressure off of the transaxle and engine up against each other. Because the engine is basically sitting on just a couple pivots and the transaxle, and it's going to pivot down. So I raise that up to take the pressure off. So at this point, I'm going to begin to pull it out in just a moment. Now this is a 1996, so this is important to remember if you have one. After taking out all the bolts and everything to get it ready, on the back side of the older motors, at 96 and older, there's a ground wire that's attached to the side of the block. And so we want to take that out. A lot of times it's a 13 millimeter, or it could be a 10 millimeter, depending on if somebody took it out and put it back in. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a ratchet wrench, real simple. It's like the last thing. Give me just a second to find the one I like to use the most. I have a special wrench. I went to school in a special school too. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this a little bit. Now, this ground wire is on the right bank, right on the side of the block. So in 96 and older, you're going to see that. And if you don't, you'll pull it out and break it off. So I'm going to grab me a creeper. A few around here. I'm going to grab this jewel right here. Put it down, and I'm going to take that wire off the side of the block. Now, in this case, it's not necessary because this has been out and it's been moved. But the harness on the back side by the firewall, which is the right gate, not the back of the engine, is behind the water pipes in the factory, coming out and back in the bottom. When you take out the top of the back end, you leave those on the outside and you never have to worry about that again. So right now, I'm going to take the ground wire off the side so we don't get that caught up. Alright, so push that off. right here, and it is a 13. Pretty loose when you get in and out so many times. I'll show that to you after we get the inch down. So anyhow, it's going to come out the top, really nice and easy. Alright, so there's the ground. Take that off the side of the engine. Alright, so now I'm ready to take the motor out. I haven't forgot anything. And I'm going to move stuff out of the way for the engine hoist. I'll move this in the area so you can see what we're doing. Sorry for the lighting, guys. This is just the shop. So we'll just move this out of the way for right now. We can turn it off. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to hook up the hoist. I'll get you a closer view. Right. Let's get this out of the way. Everything out of the way. Alright, let's do this. Okay, so here's my hoist. One of them. And I know not everybody has these. I'll double check, make sure you guys are still with me. You are! Awesome. Alright, so we're gonna get this and grip right through, so don't pay attention to that. Pull this out, move it over. Take in the manual on these things, it says to make sure that 2 people are using it. It's pretty funny. I always have 2 people, and then one day my brother was loading up on a trailer, and one of these things fell down my other one and hit me right in the head. I thought, you know what? Maybe that's why. Anyway, it wasn't that much damage, but it hit hard enough to make me mad, or upset, or hurt. All right, here we go. Alright, so this is a 2-ton, depending on what you have. The motor only weighs about 380 pounds. And right now it doesn't weigh much at all because I took everything off of it. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this down to only the 1/2 ton. Now a lot of people want to come in from the front, old school style, but not on these Cadillacs, not on any of them. You can't reach it. Tell you a story about what one of my brothers did. After I told him not to come from the front, and he did anyway. So anyway, so now we're in the 1/2 ton area. Give me a second. It's nice and humid. Keeping the fans off at the moment so you guys can hear me better. The fans are. It's not that hot, but the fans keep the humidity down. And I sweat all day. Those things right there are about a gallon, maybe about 3 a day. Alright, so taking my hoist on the right side of the car, passenger side, and what I've done below here, which you can't see at the moment, it's a flashlight, is we have the jack over there that's raised the transaxle, and I went around it on both sides. So now I came in from the side. Now I've got plenty of room with any hoist in and out. So I'm going to hook up about right there, and I'm about 13 inches away from the car. If I had it in the front right here, I'd be almost touching it. So you come in from the right side, garage. So when you're doing your DIY stuff, you want to make sure you're coming from the right side. So now that we're up there, I'm going to get hooked up here. Show you why I got those bolts in there. Well, I'll tell you why anyway. If you ever do this and you have one slide on you, and it doesn't hurt it because it stays on the lift, but it'll still slide. So I have cranes that have the air jack, so I don't have to take forever to do it. So it's kind of cool. If you guys do have a jack like this, you can buy these right here for about $100. Have an air jack, so it's a lot easier to go a lot quicker. what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pull you a little bit closer so you can see where I'm lifting. Get this hose out of the way. Get you up there close and personal. Alright, so here we go. It's going to be a lifting process. Now, you can see, get you in the middle here, you can see the balance on this thing. Now, this is DIY stuff, don't go to the store and buy the big old bracket that you need to balance the engine with. Just use your head and balance your chain. So again, we have like a 3.5 foot chain here, and it's hanging way over. But what we did is we put the last link on this side, on the back of the motor, in the second hole towards us from the lift bracket and the bracket from engine to trans. And so it's in the very last hole. We pull as tight as we can, and then we go back to the most comfortable spot where we could put a bolt in the front. And where? Because we're pulling the engine and doing the work, we don't need all the stuff on here in our way. This right here would be where the tensioner is for the accessory belt, and it's the bolt side. So it's in, this is a long bolt, so it's in there about 1 1/8 inches, and you want to make sure everything when you put it in, some guys use chains this big and little tiny bolts in weird places, and I'm like, no, I want to make sure nothing happens. So anyway, so that's that one. And then we have a second piece of chain, DIY, something in your garage. That's what we're doing right now. All DIY. We're just trying to find things out of the garage that will work and make it all possible. 1 second, I lost my power there. Okay, so here we're kind of in the middle, and I can see, and with my experience, I know the front, back, and where it's pretty much going to hook up. It's pretty much about in the middle of that thing. So that's why I put the bolt on each side. And so when I pick the engine up, if it's too much weight on one side or the other, it'll go like this, and this thing, the hook here, can slip easily up to here, and you could cause damage somewhere. So I just like to have a DIY idea for taking 2 bolts. And when you're taking the car apart, use the bolts and nuts that you're taking off. You have them, put them back on. If you don't have them in your garage, well, you certainly have them from taking the thing apart. So there you have that part. Let's get you back over here, and we're going to take the motor out. Now remember, we've taken everything out just as I described. Get back up here, about right here. See if it's right on here. So, okay, so now we're taking out the top. Now, the only thing we got to really watch out for is the harness in the back, because the manifold is sticking off a little bit. Could catch it. We don't want no wires connected. All the harness and wires are disconnected at this point. The front motor mount is stuck down through here, and we've got to be able to get it high enough to get those bolts out so the engine can move forward. In these older cars, we still have a couple inches on this side to move forward, which is more than what we need. So we're gonna, right now, we're gonna lift this up a little bit. So this is the back far enough where you can really see the whole operation. All right, there we go. Taking a Northstar out of a 1996 DeVille out the top. All right, so we're gonna put some pressure on it. Make sure we're disconnected from everything. I have my tire irons, which are flat bars, come in real handy for this. I use the kind of flat curve side, not the real curve side. There's a point on this part of the engine where you can pull it apart. Just one area from this side. So my jack might leak down a little bit, so to raise it up, oh you did. So that's the pressure point I was talking about. So lift it up until the transaxle is high enough. There's no pressure on the motor. So I'll bring it over here so you can see where I'm prying it apart from. Bear with me, and we'll speed up the parts that don't need to be seen if I can. All right, where you at? There you are. Okay, so looking down here inside the engine compartment, on the front side, just below the camshaft pulley. See that right there? Let me show you where I put that. So after I lift the transaxle high enough to do a separation here so it's not pinched against itself. Right here, next to the lower water hole, there's a pocket. And that pocket gives you that opportunity. And once you have it out of there, I put the flat bar in behind the flywheel to bring it up this way. Now what I'm going to do at this point is lift a little bit higher. Start to pull it up out of there. Alright, so we can see, back off so you can see it. Alright, so we still have the motor mount bolts that just popped out of there. Now it feels nice and free. Feels pretty balanced. I'm in the center. Came forward a little bit. We're going to raise it up a little bit. When you're doing this, a lot of times you might forget something. So I know I'm pretty much there. Well, I know I'm there. But I want to make sure that when you're doing it, don't just start pulling it out, because if you have an airlift like I do there, the pressure that thing can hold will break every wire there is, and you won't even know it's connected. So anyway, this is the 1996 DeVille. All the way from the beginning of the Northstar and the DeVille to 1999, this is the same engine compartment, same everything. So you can see that all those years will come out the same. The Eldorado's a little bit tighter, and the Seville is a little bit tighter than that. It's doable, and I'll explain that, how that's done in another time. So now that you can see how I just separated the transaxle from the engine, I'm getting ready to pull it out. Alright, so we're right there at this point. I'm going to move you back over here to get a bigger visual. See how far we can go back here and get you a real nice visual of the entire lift. Hold on. Alright, here we go. Pull you back a little bit farther. And I'll show you just how easy this is. A lot of people think, I know so many people who have lost their cars to salvage because they couldn't afford a mechanic, you know, that would do the job, because everybody's afraid of these things, and ended up getting rid of it in salvage. So now we know we're disconnecting on everything at this point. We begin to lift it up. Keep an eye on it, especially back there. There's a harness back here. Gets hooked over the top. Let me show you here. It'll get hooked right over the top of this. And if you don't, you know, well, you'll know now, but if you weren't paying attention, this is what happens. Right here. Sorry about the squeaking, guys. I got it my camera's tight to this base here. Okay, so I want to see the harness is right over the top of the manifold. So what I want to do is keep an eye on that as I lift it and make sure I pull that off of there. So from any direction I can get up here, I would over there. So I'm going to pull the harness off of that. Kind of sit it in the back. Hopefully it'll just drop. There it went. Drop below the manifold. Pull up the engine as high as you need to get it past that point. Now, if this engine had not been out before, I would have had to take this water pipes off the back, because the harness will go behind that. In this case, this engine's been out before, and somebody was smart enough to make sure they ran it on the opposite side. So now that I have that there, it's up in the air. Let's see there? Coming right up out of there now. Alright, let's move the camera back so you can get a visual. A lot of people just can't believe how simple it is to pull an engine out the top. So let's get you way back over here. Sorry for the ground view. Pull you back. Alright, so now there we have it. Alright, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead, look around. I want to make sure I look around. Nothing left disconnected. And so I'm just going to simply pull it up. We know the harness is off the back of the manifold. I'll take a look anyway to make sure nothing is absolutely Make sure absolutely nothing's back here connected. There you go. There we have it. There it is, guys. So that's it, man. It's really that simple. And a good mechanic, if you work solid all the way through, not for me showing you on film, about 4 hours to have it out. Maybe less, maybe another hour or two, depending on how much they know. A lot of people say, well, I can get it out the bottom in 45 minutes. Well, yeah, a lot of times you can't. A lot of times things have been replaced. Somebody hit a curb and somebody put the adjustment bolts in it, and now that you take the bottom apart or pop the top out, go through all that extra work. At this point, taking this out, we've already taken everything off the engine that you would take off after it was out. So the time it took to remove this stuff, we calculate out of what it would take to remove it out there. Now we've done nothing to the bottom of the car. The transaxle's in place, the shafts are in place, we don't have to lift it back up. And now listen, if we were on this lift, I could pull out the bottom, no problem. But when you're on the ground, and you're a DIY guy in your garage, you have to calculate how high you are here. And it ain't high enough. Unless you get that car high enough off that ground, you ain't taking out the bottom. So it's simple to take it out the top. You just got to realize to take everything off of it as you're going and pull it out. And it's really simple. I'll show more videos and different segments of how it's pulled out in the near future. Oh. And now it's out. I love when it's out. Because once I get the engine on a stand, then I can put that crane away. And when the crane goes away, that's my favorite part. When this goes away, that means I'm finished with Rise 2. Alright guys, I'm in Texas. And it may not be too hot in the shop, but it's real humid. Anyhow, before I get off here, just take, let's see, a couple little things here. So, at this point, I would simply back the engine above that fender, over here out of the way, and to be safe, let's get lower to the ground. Alright, so we'll leave it about right there. And back it off a little bit. Right out of here out of the way. Alright, so if this was in my shop, and of course it's DIY, if it was in the shop, I would want to put the wheels back on, the hood back on, and maybe roll it out into the parking lot until I was done with the motor, so that the guys could work on different cars. So when you're working on these different cars, the transaxle on these cars, the 99 and older DeVille and Eldorado, and the 97 and older on the Sevilles, there's a motor mount bracket back here that keeps the transaxle up in place if it's attached. So it's up in place. On the 98 and newer Sevilles and the newer DeVilles after 2000, the Eldorado remained the same all the way till it was discontinued. The DeVille all the way has that bracket back there until the year 2000. And then it goes to a torque strut and an apex combined. So on those cars, we literally have to put a chain from there to the firewall to keep it up off the ground, off the subframe, in order to roll it out of the shop without it damaging the boot on the half axle. Anyway, so there you have it. It's out. We're going to do a reverse process here in the next couple of days. We're going to put it right back in. So at this point, I'm going to let the jack down. Use it on a different car already. This car's going to remain in the shop. We're only doing this job's already been done. We're replacing the rear main seal and examining the bottom of the motor. But it's the rear main seal we're replacing on this one. That's like a $2,700 job. to $4,100 depending on where you go, but at dealerships are usually about $2,700 to do a rear main sill. And if you can imagine how long it took to take this motor out of this car in your garage as a DIY guy, make sure when you do, like, depending on how far or how wide your garage is, put the car to this side. If it's a small garage, like 10 feet, put it as close to this side as you can, even if you gotta get out that side of the car. As long as you can work a little bit on that side. You want to make sure that you come in from the right side to pull the engine out with your hoist and have just enough room. Now, I've been in garages with guys that had real small garages, and as long as there was enough room for the crane to sit, we got it up, we could pull it forward this way and set the engine down in front of the car because we couldn't go sideways. And then make sure, depending on what year it is, secure the transmission. And another one that we do is we take the power steering line, the high powered side, and we attach it back to the power steering pump on that side. And we put the hose that comes from the front that's low power or low pressure, we put that back on the front of the pump. And I usually take like a bungee cord and grab it so it's not laying on the ground down there, pull it up over something like this and hook it onto the fender here so it holds it up in the air. The reason we do that is if we back the car out, when you turn the steering wheel, you're shoving all that stuff out into the system. So rather than doing that, what we do is we just keep it cycled inside there. That we don't want contamination on the property or in here. We got to clean it up, and you'll know that right away when you turn the steering wheel. If you have to pull it out, when you turn the steering wheel, you're gonna see puddle everywhere. So we just put that back on it for GP, and then once we secure the transaxle, we take the hood, which is, you can see is up there, which is being protected. We put that back on the front, put 2 bolts on the back and put it down and bungee cord the front down just so it can sit outside safely and not get any water or rust on the inside, which is kind of cool, you know, if you have to do that. And then get all stuff out of here. On this job, we're just doing the rear main sill, but it still pertains to every aspect of pulling the engine out, which you can see. Now, there's a lot of reasons for pulling out the top. We have lifts, as you can see, and which we use, but we still pull the engine out the top. But if you're using a lift and doing this concept of pull out to take out the top, it's easier on the lift because we use jack stands that are our height, and we're able to do the bottom without laying on the ground. So it's kind of cool. But anyway, it's definitely doable. You just see it with your own eyes. And we're gonna cut this video short right now. And I'll show you how we're gonna replace the rear main sill DIY, because everything we're doing is DIY. Now remember guys, what we're doing here, DIY wise, is we're using things you would have or could find or buy at the hardware store to do this job without having expensive equipment. And so when we do the rear main sill, remember there's a tool by GM, a GM tool I should say, that puts that in for about 350 bucks. And I'm going to show you how to install a rear main sill by hand perfectly without having to buy that equipment. So hang in there and I'll be back shortly.